All right, everyone, there's a terribly ironic story right now that the Wall Street Journal put out yesterday. Now, this is by its entire editorial board. This isn't just some Joe Schmo wrote an opinion piece, some part-time columnist wrote an opinion piece and the Wall Street Journal deigned to put it in. Like when the New York Times has the occasional conservative commentator weigh in on something and they're to the right of Karl Marx, everyone suddenly goes crazy because 90% of the New York Times audience is like, really, really out there and have pink hair, I guess, at this point. It's a random sampling of New York City, I would assume. People in gated communities or with penthouse existences who don't know much about the outside world. The Wall Street Journal has made an article, and it's called The Presumption of Guilt. And they're saying, essentially, in a nutshell, you can't prevent Kavanaugh from being in SCOTUS on a mere allegation. No, you've got somebody who's constantly dragging their heels on testifying, is basically making a mockery of the legal system, which his accuser is. It's still not clear that she's going to testify. At the 11th hour, after the deadline passes, she's like, a day later, oh yeah, we're willing to testify. We need to keep negotiating. How fucking stupid can Chuck Grassley and the Republicans be to continue entertaining this? This is just a method of trying to stall the process until early October so that Kavanaugh can't be seated until the subsequent January session. That's basically what this is about. They should stop and say, look, we've already given enough extensions. We've bent over backwards. We even offered to send people to her to figure everything out. She rejected everything, and now she keeps trying this same tactic. Enough is a fucking enough. She either is here at this time, or we're having the vote at the same time. She's either here, or 5 minutes later, we're taking a roll call. That's what Grassley and all the other Republicans should do. The Wall Street Journal is rejecting the concept, and I mean, they're right on this. They're rejecting the concept of guilt until innocence is proven, which has literally been openly alluded to. There was that one Atlantic writer who said, well, it's up to Kavanaugh to prove he's innocent. No, it's not. Not the way our legal system works, not the way any enlightened legal system works, not the way common sense and logic work, not the way a properly functioning society works. The concept that because the person has no Y chromosome, they must automatically be believed on a 35-year-old fucking allegation is totally wrong. That's nonsense. If you were to institute that into our legal system, it would collapse the legal system. It would collapse society, especially when everyone's at each other's throats for partisan reasons. They just hurl allegations around, get people thrown in jail. That's all that would happen. You have millions of people going to prison for crimes they didn't commit. That's the whole problem. But where was the Wall Street Journal a couple of years ago when all of these things began? When the corporate media, including the Wall Street Journal, oddly enough, with its PewDiePie article really kicking it off, began defaming people openly and assuming their guilt. Like when the PewDiePie article was written, the basic sum and substance, and this is the same writer who left for the New York Times, the last article he ever penned, the last one the Wall Street Journal ever printed, name-dropped me of all people. Oh, this far-right YouTuber, basically. I think he used the term libertarian at one point, which is hilarious, because it's like, oh, you have the foresight to see that, but you still call me like a radical and I'm dangerous or something. I'm in league with Alex Jones. It's conspiracy, just like Becca Lewis says. You've got this publication literally kicking off this witch hunt online, especially with regards to YouTube, although it's spread out to alt tech, certainly Twitter and Facebook, to some degree other sites, WordPress and PayPal and Patreon and all these others have gotten involved, to defame PewDiePie and say basically he's not dog whistling to Nazis because he posted a Pepe meme or because he said this one word 10 years ago. And I'm thinking to myself, where was the aversion to presumption of guilt then? Did the Wall Street Journal reach out and ask him for comment on his content? Did the Wall Street Journal ask me for commentary before they decided to talk about me in an article alongside like InfoWars and stuff? Now, I'm in good company. InfoWars is a total martyr at this point, so I'm like, I'm okay with that. I don't care if I don't agree with Alex Jones on some things, or I understand that he's an infotainer, and I'm not really an infotainer. If people are entertained, it's primarily the information they're coming here for, I hope. Whereas with Alex Jones, it's kind of a floor show. You're getting the news, after a fashion. How, though, is that different from the corporate media? Fox News pioneered that concept. Oh, here's some swinging lights and lots of opinion to pad out this otherwise boring, dry news story. It worked. The whole corporate media adopted the same fucking model. Wall Street Journal too. Those that didn't, that remained dry and boring, are either dead or dying. That's the whole fucking point. You know, they straggle on in a zombie form like Salon or something. When's the last time anyone linked you a Salon article, unironically, unless you're part of some social justice warrior echo chamber? Those SJWs within a generation will largely not exist. They'll be like the hippies. They'll sell out and they'll go do something else. Where was the presumption of innocence for YouTubers? Not just from the Wall Street Journal, but the whole corporate media. You're saying, well, it's improper to say Kavanaugh is like an evil person or he should have his life ruined based on an old accusation. Okay, what about when the corporate media or some group of craptivists accuses some YouTuber of being an extremist because they talked to some other YouTuber who talked to some other YouTuber who talked to some other YouTuber who's actually got what you could construe as radical views? Or they said, or they happen to stand against third wave feminism, or they happen to stand against open borders, or they happen to be a tradcon, or they happen to have X, Y, and Z for views. They have one view that's outside of the Overton window and doesn't synchronize with what you would consider the general overarching concept of neoliberaldom. And they're considered to be a total extremist. And then the term Nazi gets thrown around. The Wall Street Journal said nothing when people were coming out and applauding Antifa for physically attacking people. They've said nothing about open political intimidation by people on the left towards people on the right. Or I would say people that just aren't part of the left. It happens to libertarians. Certainly, Ron Paul's been targeted. Ron Paul's not a conservative in any way, shape, or form. He makes the conservatives look like an authoritarian movement. He's anti-drug war. Look at what Ted Cruz is saying during his spiel with Beto there. Oh yeah, I think it's terrible. No, we shouldn't legalize drugs at all. Keep them all illegal. Throw more people into the for-profit prisons. Well, fuck Ted Cruz. I was right about him too. It's like he'll win because, you know, his opponent wants to confiscate everyone's guns and he happens to be in Texas of all places. But still an asshole, basically. So the political situation we've got right now is partially toxic. And in part, that's due to the corporate media. The Wall Street Journal all of a sudden grows a conscience and says, oh, well, enough is enough. Kavanaugh's life shouldn't be ruined because of this. What about all of the lives you've facilitated the ruining of already? Like hit pieces against InfoWars. You know, up to and including the point now where payment processors, literally you can be prevented from communicating with anyone, defending yourself on any meaningful platform, or even undergoing commerce at this point. You can't even undergo rudimentary commerce in the normal web-facilitated fashion if you end up on the naughty list. You've got a whole big-ass naughty list that was just released by the Data Society, and it's been parroted non-stop since it was released by groups like The Guardian and Huffington Post. But it's a lie. It's not even real. And the thing is, if you go to these people who support the article, you find out what an echo chamber really is. It is overwhelmingly an echo chamber of people who passively absorb that, while looking at the sometimes echo chamber of the pan non-left and finding fault with it. They're too blind to even understand what's happening. Meanwhile, those of us capable of traversing in and out of any echo chamber find it hilarious that there are people who want heavy-handed censorship, and the Wall Street Journal doesn't have a problem with your life getting ruined by false accusations. They're probably just doing this to score more readership or something. In all honesty, this is just a commercial move. It happens to have pissed off the rest of the corporate media, which is hilarious. It's like the Wall Street Journal getting attacked by Huffington Post, Vox, and you know, Jezebel and all these other groups. Slate and Politico. All the general pro-authoritarian, I would say pro-commie media at this point. Basically like Stalinists. And of course, those Stalinists, there's a little bit of a Nazi tactic there. They're kind of fascistic. They love corporatism. They love corporate power. They want corporations to tell you what you can and cannot think. If Facebook were to announce today, oh, we developed new technology, you put this hat on and it eliminates your ability to be bigoted, it eliminates your ability to have independent thought, and feeds you information about your surroundings in a manner that's sanitized, they would clamor for it to become mandatory. I guarantee you that they would. They really are that crazy and dystopian, some of these people. Yeah, that sounds like, La La Land, but we're looking at technology right now that was considered a La La Land 20 years ago. I don't know where it'll go next. Yeah, score one for anarcho-primitivism, I suppose, in some cases. There was another article that they wrote a while ago about eco-fascism and about how it was dangerous. Environmentalism was becoming dangerous. Caring about the environment is now a Nazi thing. So you're supposed to scarf down more burgers, exploit things, cut down a tree to show that you're multicultural. That, I guess, is basically what it boils down to. This is the so-called left, everybody. The so-called tolerant, diverse, sensible, elite, erudite left is like becoming what the Republicans almost were in the 2000s. Wipe your ass with an owl to save a tree, haha, stupid hippies. Free speech be damned, you don't like Jesus enough. You sound a lot similar if you're one of these pink-haired people. That's about all. Peace out.